the authority of our mayor, who is not here today, and I'm Barbara Price, for those who don't know me, and I'm the acting mayor for October. So having said that, and welcome everyone, I'd like adoption of the agenda.
Second.
And any discussion? All in favour? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Thank you. And we do have a delegation today. We have Lara Greasley and Jeff Crawford. Welcome. So if you want the podium, and, yes, with the for the viewers that we may have out there, with the Democratic Economic Development Society.
I guess the little clicker is somewhere.
Slide advance your slide.
I'm sorry. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Mayor, Council, staff, for having us here today. My name is Jeff Crawford. I'm Business Development at Comox Valley Economic Development, and my colleague Lara Greasley here is Manager of Marketing and Communications. We're here to provide our brief, kind of high-level Q2 and Q3 highlights for you today. And just move along here. We'll go through a few of these highlights that are noted here in a little bit of detail, and then we're more than happy to answer any questions you may have after we've gone through them. My focus, obviously, at CVEDS is with regards to working with entrepreneurs and small business. Small Business Month is right now. Small Business Week is next week. We partner with a variety of industry as well as business associations to put together a fairly comprehensive fall program for with regards to business development resources. Today, in particular, we put together an export pavilion as part of the Comox Valley Chamber of Commerce's Comox Valley Business Expo. And then our presentation today featured a panel presentation on export, which put together with Global Affairs Canada, Business Development Bank of Canada, HSBC Bank Canada, as well as Small Business BC, and then our Export Navigator program. So we had a pretty good focus there on export for small business, and the presentation resonated quite well there at the trade show. Moving along from that, next week, coming up soon, is our workshop with the Comox BIA. We've worked closely with the BIA over the last couple of years, and one of the things we do is professional development. On Tuesday, we're bringing in a tax advisor as well as a business advisor from MMP to talk about how the recent tax or the impending tax changes that are coming up from the federal government may, in fact, impact their businesses. And it's pretty timely content for the presentation, and I know in working with the executive director at the Comox BIA, this is some content that the membership would really like to get further understanding about. Another highlight from this quarter is we were asked to look into the impact of boiled water as well as the wildfires that are occurring. We launched an initial survey at the end of the summer. We're still tabulating the results. This is just very preliminary data that we've thrown up here. This survey, the questions were modeled after what Tourism Vancouver Island had issued, as well as with the other TOTA tourism organization. So we're looking to measure the cost to small business as well as the loss in revenue. And you can see some of the preliminary numbers there. They're talking about the aggregate cost as well as loss in revenue on a daily basis during that boiled water advisory as well as during the wildfire. So we'll be putting together a final report and final findings that will be provided over to the Comox Valley Regional District. And moving along, Lara is going to speak to these slides.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, and staff. Thank you again for having us. In addition to working with small businesses, we also undertake destination marketing for the region, as well as support the visitor services. So a couple of highlights from the past 2 quarters in that regard. The Vancouver Island Visitor Centre opened in 2013, as you know. It continues to be one of the 2nd to 3rd busiest centres on Vancouver Island. So we saw 5,000 visitors come through the centre in August alone. And our true visitor numbers are up 12 to 14% and have continued to be around that trend, which is the important number that we're interested in. Obviously, we're happy to support locals who come into the center, and lots do. But we really want to see that trend, because those are the people who are spending money in our small businesses, staying overnight and so on. So we're continuing to see trends, lots of Europeans as well. It's one of our third to fourth largest groups that come through the center. I asked the visitor center today, since we opened, how many people have we actually seen through there? It's over 170,000, if you can believe it, since that time. On marketing side, something that's of interest to the town, of course, is Harbour Air, and that's an important partner of ours and an important connectivity to the region, both for business travelers, locals, as well as for tourists. We partnered with them this summer to do a Harbour Air Great Escapes contest with 2 amazing prizes to the Comox Valley, and that generated over 8,500 contest entries, which was we were expecting and hoping for around 3,000 to 4,000 contest entries. So it really exceeded our expectations, and we generated over 4,800 e-newsletter signups. And what that means for us is that we can continue to work and engage with those consumers and visitors to try to tease them to come back again. So it was a very successful contest that we undertook, and Harbour Air was thrilled with that support, so that was a good initiative. The BC Shellfish and Seafood Festival was held in June. It is by far and away now the largest seafood festival on the west coast of Canada. We're very, very proud of that. What's exciting about this festival is it not only showcases the region from a destination perspective and for visitors, but it also supports all of the important seafood producers and industry that we have here by bringing in international buyers from around the world, having at the Expo conference and so on. A couple of key stats there. The MRDT, which is the hotel tax, was up 18% in June this year compared to last year, and it's been up every year, but that was another significant jump we saw this year. And because of the grants and sponsorships that we went after to leverage the dollars that we did have for Shellfish Festival, we had over 200,000 of new funds to support marketing, hosting media, and event development around that. So we were really excited about that figure this year. And over 70 events, I think 26 of them actually sold out. So Shellfish Festival. And then just a little expansion on Shellfish Festival is the media program that we host. We had over 27 media, domestic and international media, attend the festival for the 10 days from 9 different nations and representing publications through 9 different nations. Generated over $1 million worth of content on the region. So articles about the Comox Valley, about the festival, about our seafood industry and why to come visit, why to come and invest. That's a significant amount of money. If you can imagine, basically we would have to take cash and go and buy equivalent advertising to generate that type of awareness. So we're quite pleased with that. And I think the next one is just our wrap-up slide that shows some of the presentations that we've had over the last 2 quarters, both to community and to local government, and we would be pleased to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. And any questions? I think you did a very complete presentation, and thank you. And we certainly do appreciate it. And having these regular updates really helps us.
Good. Thank you for having us.
So we don't have any minutes, so we'll get into department reports. If we could receive the Planning and Building Department report.
Move C.
All in favour? That's carried, thank you. And so we have the report in front of us. So I don't know if there's any questions. Oh yes, and the Councillor Grant.
Thank you. I've been getting several inquiries on i.e. the tap-ups. Is there any kind of an update that I could be giving these people?
I know that they're working with BC Hydro in terms of their servicing. And last outstanding item that I was aware of was their civil drawings for connection to our infrastructure. And I don't know if those have been received.
No, not.
We're still awaiting those. So it's a matter of their...
Still
Okay, still, it's a work in progress, in other
Yes, it
words,
is.
eh? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, to the planner, the mall, when do you expect it to be finished there? Any idea?
No, I don't.
No?
Any more questions? Councillor Grant?
Just wondering on an update on Northeast Woods and some of the lot development. I see we got about 200 lots in the pipeline here, if we could ever get any of them out of the pipeline. And I'm just wondering what the update is on those, if there is one.
Continue to work with the developer's consultant. In terms of identifying detention pond locations, and they're doing some preliminary discussions with property owners to see if there's interest in terms of selling land for detention ponds. And I believe they're waiting for a response. Was the last word I heard back from them, they were waiting for a response. They had a response from one property owner, and they're waiting for the second.
Okay. And on the corner of Guthrie and Lazo, that's 9 single-family lots, is that?
Correct.
I know just from talking to people that have been looking at that it, because of the piece that we wanted to take for a walkway, it limited that, but they can get 9 lots in there, is that?
Yes, this developer did a bit of a different arrangement in terms of the angle of this cul-de-sac bulb.
Okay.
Was able to get additional lots out of it.
Okay, good, thank you.
And any more questions? Seeing none, and thank you, Marvin. We'll move on to our engineer's report, Shelley Ashfield, the capital and operational status. Yea, opposed?
Second.
All in favour? Anyone opposed? That's carried. We've got the report in front of us. Is there any questions of our engineer?
I just have a brief comment. We had much discussion regarding the condo and the driveway and the sharp drop, and they really like the change. Thank you.
And I don't know if this is the right place, but other councillors may have heard, and I did mention to our engineer about a desire to see the sidewalk on the south side of Comox Avenue move forward, as there are a couple of people now who have mobility aids and can't get out. So so I'm sure we'll be hearing from them. So moving on to Al Fraser's report, our Superintendent of Parks.
Check.
All in favour? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Thank you. And we have Al's report, yes?
Yeah.
Councillor Arnott?
Yeah, great report, Al, and the thing that just caught my eye was the Rotary Promenade extension. So, where are you? So, if you were king of the world for the day, would you have it go right to the end? Is that what the idea
An
is?
additional 30, I think it was roughly 33-meter extension, which would take you very, very close to where the beacon is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you looking at widening it as well? It is similar to what that end is right now, you know how it widens out?
We're not necessarily the full width, but we're looking at 2 additional drop-down decks, similar to the one on the very end on the water on the bay side.
Right.
Sort of equidistant along the main, what I'll call the main spine of the walkway.
Okay.
Yeah.
And finally, has there been any thought of something along that lines, but extending out a bit more, maybe a little bit lower, you know, a spot where kids can go fishing or something like that off of the dock?
That's sort of the general idea with the 2 drop-down decks. It could give us the ability to entertain something more like that.
Yeah, yeah.
The analysis that we're going through right now is quite preliminary and conceptual in form.
Yeah.
And one thing that I wanted to really make sure that we took care of was including the cost analysis for the replacement of existing.
Right, yeah.
As we're going down the path with asset management and that philosophy and direction, I think it's a great opportunity as part of this exercise to get some preliminary numbers up in front of us so we know exactly what we're dealing with in the future. And then the add-ons, expansion, sort of the amenity package will follow suit once it's vetted through council and we go to some form of public consultation in the future.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But certainly any of those kind of maritime-related ideas are definitely being
Yeah.
Incorporated into the
Yes,
project.
thanks. And great job on the park to you and Shelley and your crew. You know, it's just excellent down there.
Thank you.
Very good job.
And Councillor Barnes.
I was just going to say, I think the mayor's bathing in all the awards that we got, thanks to you guys. Help on that, but
That was a real team effort, that's for sure.
yeah. Is there any thought on the promenade out there of any sort of commercial activity possibilities?
Well, one thing that we will incorporate in, and I've asked the consultants to take into account, is what I'll call the power upgrade. So the power upgrade, the layouts, the distribution points for that, for those power considerations, would in effect give us the ability to look at, I'm not going to say necessarily commercial application, but certainly festival and pop-up type vendor applications. So yeah, that's definitely, multi-use is the name of, the real name of the game.
I've seen in some areas where they have those, and they have little pop-outs on the side, and they've got they look like little boathouses that you flip the front window open and they can be commercial enterprise, seasonal kind of stuff like that. So I don't know if that's...
That could definitely enter into the mix. It's going to be a collective decision with the community.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't rule anything out.
Perfect. Thanks.
Councillor McKinnon.
Yes, Your Worship Price. I've always wanted to say that on the record.
She's always wanted to hear it.
Really, it's a compliment and a question as well, and I think it may apply to both Al and both of you down there. One was on Thanksgiving weekend down at the Point Holmes Promenade. Lots of compliments from folks there. And a question about this with the summer drought, was all the planting complete on the banks there on the Point Holmes Promenade there, or was there some held off into late? That was the one question. The other was with Rob Roll, but I'll let you answer this one first.
Yeah, the rest of the planting was delayed. It was postponed till early fall, and we got an email probably last week that all the plantings had been done. Yeah.
So it's all been done now?
Yeah.
And that's good news. But many compliments from people down there, and wonderful initiative. For Rob Road as well, Al, the planting question came up. People in the neighborhood there were very pleased that it's finished, but very pleased with the results. And just a quick update again on the planting and the completion of that project.
Are you referring to the trees? Oh, to the boulevards? Yeah. We're expecting shipment of the trees next Tuesday. So with the view to get them in as soon as we accept them. So they'll land at the yard on Tuesday, I believe that's the 17th. We'll do an inspection and then out they go. So I'm thinking, if all things go according to plan, substantial completion by the end of next week or midweek the following week.
Okay, thank you for that information.
Thank you, Councillor Barnes.
Thank you. A question again for Al. The totem pole is obviously a topic of conversation I'm finding, and a question that I've been asked is, when the totem pole was laid to rest, does it gradually work its way into becoming one with the earth?
Yes.
Or forget the earth?
I'm sorry.
Really, because I thought that would be the answer, but I wasn't sure, and I thought, well, I'll just find out and let these people know.
I view it as the circle of life kind of
Yes.
analogy.
Good. Thank you.
Lovely, and I'd just like to make the comment too about how great it does look, and as has been alluded to too on the Reader's Choice, that on the long-awaited for projects are Splash Park beat out the new hospital. That was quite impressive. And my question was on the Highmore Greenway. That's started now, has it?
It has.
And it's going well?
It started yesterday, and we're progressing nicely. The crew has grubbed about 50% of the path alignment out and is applying the sub-base for the walking path as we speak. So I would say it's going very well. It's been a long journey, lead-in, not dealing with, but helping the neighbors understand the importance of such a feature. And I think that, quite frankly, some of them are taking ownership, and I think it's going to be a great addition to the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. And I think once the neighbourhood starts using it too, because there's so many linkages there that it's a pretty great area to walk.
It's a lovely walk.
And Councillor Grant.
Oh, I just wanted to note too that among all the other awards that the mayor was at, that we got the local kids event at Nautical Days. So Sue Wood and the crew did a great job of that, and so we had a good summer, I'd say. Yeah, and a lot due to staff and the way they helped out and did things and put these things together. I mean, we sit here and stick our hands up and take the credit, but the work really gets done behind us. So that's really a tribute to a lot of the things that have been going on. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, seeing no more questions or comments, we'll move on to Gord Trenley, our Fire Chief's report from May to August.
Second.
All in favour? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Thank you. So thank you for your report, Gord. And are there any questions on the report?
I'm just wondering if anyone would ever oppose something that Gord put down. Have you ever heard that? Did anyone ever oppose any of your reports?
We always say that when it's not a budget meeting.
They're very thorough.
Okay. Councillor Grant.
The new Hazard House. I don't know where it is or anything about it. I thought that was an interesting note.
And I can comment on that. The Hazard House is actually a dollhouse. It arrives in 4 elegant suitcases. It's about $20,000 in costs. The Comox Valley Fire Chiefs Association, 10 local departments funded about 60% of it, and the Comox Firefighters Association funded the rest, with the proviso that we keep it at the Comox Fire Station. So it lives in our station, the other departments come and borrow it. It basically folds open, fairly large, and it's got a lot of electronics on it. You can push buttons to make smoke come out of the windows, make lights flash and sparkles go. And so it's kind of the fire safety house in a mini version. The challenge with the fire safety house is very awkward to move it around. It takes a special vehicle, it takes power at the school, it takes parking spaces at the school. So we've used this for one cycle so far in our schools, and we're loving it. It also comes with some other components, so we can do kitchen safety and stuff. So it's been a really nice addition for our department. It'll be on display at an open house we're having on weekends, Saturday.
Oh, good. Good. You're limiting it to grade 3 at this point?
Well, the fire safety house was targeted for grade 3s, but the hazard house actually has components where we can take out some of the facades on it and change it for elderly people or for moms and dads, and so it has multi-facets to it, where the fire safety house is really designed for children. So we're going to get a lot bigger bang for our buck out of it. In fact, we had a component of it at Berwick about 3 months ago, doing a little component down there with the seniors down there. So a really nice tool.
And Councillor McKinnon.
Yes, Gord, just congratulations on your recruiting success. 8 to 10 new recruits. I know it's difficult to get people to commit, and please as well pass on to them. Thank you so much for volunteering for our fire department.
Well, thank you, and with that, we haven't got those guys yet. We're doing interviews tonight. When I leave here, I've got some interviews to do all evening, so we're hoping to have that in place by the end of the week or early next week.
Great. And I just had it's sort of a question. I just reading about the Curtis Road fire and your comments about very close call that could easily have gotten out of hand. and the Moore Road one, another very close call that could have easily become an interface fire. And the Curtis Road one I know because I'm in the neighbourhood and I actually packed a few things, including my passport, just in case.
Right.
And neither of those areas have fire hydrants outside the town of Comox. I know the Curtis Road, it's probably pretty easy to put a fire hydrant in because of the treatment plant, Brent Road treatment plant. And I'm just wondering whether it, because an interface fire, it's Comox that's affected too, not just the rural areas. And I just wonder whether it's worth going to the water committee again and see if we could just look at a couple of fire hydrants that are paid for through the regional district. How much difference do you think it would make if there were fire hydrants in those two areas?
Well, when we're dealing with fires like this, there's two big concerns, two big key ways to put these fires out. One is a very quick response, which we've been able to provide this year, so that's number one thing. Number two would be water supply. So you probably won't see a fire chief anywhere that doesn't want more water supply. So if you give me a hydrant in front of everybody's house, that would be great. Unrealistic. So there's obviously some politics in the way and other things in the way, but more hydrants is better.
Okay. Because I know in the Curtis Road you use the helicopter to scoop up seawater.
Also in the Curtis Road area, we buried a 60,000-gallon water tank on one of the beach access. You won't see it, you'll just see a couple of pipes come out of the ground. It's very camouflage, but they did use that for water source there too. A little bit more cumbersome. The pressurized water from a hydrant is preferred, but we kind of sort of ways of doing things. And that's why we brought all the other departments, because they all carry water.
Oh, they came tankers, yeah. Yeah, because it's just going to get worse the fire season. You know that much better than us.
Yeah.
Thank you. So if there's no more questions, we're moving on to Ted Hagnier's Rec Director's report.
Move proceed.
Second.
All in favour of receipt? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Thank you. And so any questions on the report? Yeah, Councillor.
Yeah.
Or not?
Yeah. Hey Ted, I don't think we've met yet, but question for you regarding the two new buildings. It says here that you had 6 bookings a month for those. Is that together for the 2 or 6 each? Or
6 each.
6 each. Okay. Are you, over the winter, are you looking at maybe a little more aggressive campaigning to get the word out there that they are going to be available?
We're doing some ads on them, and they're included in our recreation guide
Right.
on our facility booking page.
Okay.
And we see the big draw for with the water park there, and families, reunions, birthday parties.
Yeah.
That seems to be the big draw so far.
One of the comments I heard down there was that you should have a bigger sign on the window saying that they're for rent. Because right now you have like just an 8x10 piece of paper, but maybe something a little bit bigger, a little bit of color to it, so it grabs people's attention, so that walking by they'll just see that it's available. And what are we charging for those? 50 an hour? Is that it?
Can I get back to you?
20 an hour?
That's what I would have said.
Yeah, it was. I know someone that rented one, and it was 20 now.
Very reasonable.
Maybe 50 for your friends.
Okay, thanks.
Huge damage to budget.
Yeah.
And so I had Councillor McKinnon and then Councillor Grant and Councillor Grant.
Yes, well, thank you. You answered the first part of my question. I was going to ask a similar one. Just that I've attended a couple of events, council has as well. It's a great site, and I agree, I concur that advertising the site, I went, of all things, to a baby shower there, and it was a fabulous site for that. I never would have guessed that would have been a place that would be suited for something like that. So I think it's got great potential, and pleased to see that you're going to crank up the marketing of for the rentals there.
What do you think, Councillor Grant?
Yeah, I know a lady that booked those for a birthday party, and it was ideal. It just worked out really well, and the price was really quite more reasonable than they would have expected. So I think that my question was going to be how much they were, but that's okay. That already got asked, so there you go. We can leave it with that.
And Councillor Grant.
Thank you. Is there a, hi Ted, welcome to the table, Mike.
Louisiana, my first time.
I'm just thinking about the cost that we're discussing here now. I'd heard that an organization was being charged $50, and in fact they went elsewhere and received it for nothing. So I guess my question is, are we trying to create some revenue from those rentals down there, or is it community service? How are we handling these?
Russell's friend.
Pardon?
They were my friends.
Oh, no, actually, it was the Fish and Game Club who were wanting to rent the facility, and it was reported that they would be having to pay $50. You're looking as if you don't know anything. So perhaps they have not given me the true story, but I did receive that. And they actually went up to the visitor center, and they were able to have space up there for nothing.
So all of the space that we rent with the Renter Park and the rooms at the community center are priced according to nonprofit, private, and commercial rates. So that would apply for those buildings as well. I don't know what the Fish and Game Club were quoted, but it sounds to me it would have been a non-profit rate. So if it was $50, then it would have been over a number of hours, I'm thinking. But I can certainly get a breakdown of those rates to you if you'd like.
If you wouldn't mind, that would be great. Yes, thanks.
It's not like they don't have $50 either.
And so no more questions? And I was remiss in not saying welcome, Ted. It's nice to see you here. So we now have Shelley Restwell's report.
Move receipt.
Second.
All in favour of receipt? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Any questions of Shelley on the Administration Department report?
I just wanted to comment that it's a very thorough report, a lot of information there that was helpful.
And I just wanted to ask the proposed transit exchange in Comox. When it says adjacent to the Comox Mall, is that on the actual side of the mall, or is it down here?
The initial idea was to have it on the west side, adjacent to the golf course. Recent thinking right now is to possibly do an interim on, the current thinking is to have it on the side, the east side, adjacent to the mall, at least in the interim. Oh, Port Augusta, yes. Yes. At least in the interim, and perhaps the longer term as well.
Because it makes more sense that people aren't crossing over and there's no sidewalk. And was there any opportunity to actually go into the mall, or is that not something the mall wishes to?
Yeah, that was not discussed, no. And my understanding is that BC Transit's, I call it a policy, if you will, is to not go into private property. Now, there are, of course, exceptions to that. But it's not.
Thank you. And Councillor Grant?
So is Transit aware that Paul Ives plays golf there, and so does Richard? That's right in the golf ball zone. It's actually a serious question. Because,
Just don't have any window
you
on
know,
the bus.
I mean, somebody gets hit with the golf ball there, so as long as they put it in right far enough back, it would be okay. I brought it up and they all laughed at the RD meeting, but, I mean, honestly.
That is one of the considerations, of course, in putting an exchange at that location is the cost on both sides. It seemed to be a little bit more cost effective on the mall side. But yes.
And Councillor Grant?
On behalf of the Stair Seniors, they for a long time have been hoping for some kind of transit service going by there. Do you know if that's happening?
It's certainly being discussed, and the frequent transit network, as it's called, will not go along Beaufort. The plan is for that to go along Comox Ave, but they are redesigning, they call them the local feeder routes, they might call them, that feed into the main transit, frequent transit along Comox Ave. And so I'm pretty sure they're thinking of us along Beaufort, yes, as a local feeder route, but not the frequent
Okay.
transit.
That's a good step, right?
Absolutely.
They will be pleased.
Yeah, they will.
And Councillor Swift.
I just have a question. Just as for clarification, the routes providing on request pickups.
That's a new service. That was at the request of the regional district to have more service in rural areas. And what they did was come up with a couple of loops, one down in Union Bay, the other North Comox, I believe Seal Bay Park area. And they have fixed routes and fixed schedules, but they're somewhat flexible in that residents can call BC Transit if, like mobility challenged persons, they can call ahead and set up to have the bus deviate off the fixed route. I believe it's up to 1.5 kilometers, and they will accommodate and go off route to pick up or drop off if requested in advance.
So it's a bus that's already going to be out there right now. But when I read that, I thought, well, how's that different than a taxi? But you're saying it's a bus that's already on.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And so, seeing no more questions, we have our last report from our Director of Finance, Clive Brundley.
Close, yeah. I'll move receipt.
All in favour? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Thank you. And any questions? So, very thorough report. And, thank you. So you got out easy.
So far.
So far,
It's only just begun.
Well, we have our third quarter financial reports coming soon, so maybe that.
We'll get you that.
We're very glad.
and so that brings us to the end, and no staff reports, correspondence, or need to exclude the public, so a motion to adjourn. And all in favour? And anyone opposed? That's carried. Thank you, everybody. It was kind.
Worship.